and welcome. I am Walt, and today our guest is the Teslacigs XT sent to us by HealthCabin. So there's no time like the present. Let's see. Okay, the mod comes in a box. And this box is a little bit different. Nice presentation here. We got a drawer that slides out of the bottom of it and shows you where the mod is. That's kind of different. We get a user's manual, and it is a nice user's manual. It did a nice job of telling me how to use the thing. Had no problems figuring it out. USB cable. Nice sturdy one. QC passed. And because this uses 21700s, 2700s, and 18650s, it has two adapters, so you can use 18650s. The mod itself. I just find this mod pretty fascinating, the design of it. You've got all these Mayan inscriptions, okay, and yet it has a post-industrial kind of a look to it. Everything is rounded, everything is chamfered all the way around the edges. Real interesting patterns here, as well as some pretty tasty LEDs here. They just kind of, you got a number of different patterns and colors you can choose from. Yeah, it's a real nice aesthetic. On the side here, pretty plain. You can see a couple scratches. This is made out of a magnesium alloy. I dropped it on concrete. It dinged it. It did not dent it. Okay, and it didn't necessarily, the finish is staying on nicely. However, it will scratch and or ding. Okay. On the back, real nice simple design. Again, following the same kind of a motif. On the front, again, curved everywhere. Okay, everything is chamfered at angles. And around here, our power button, nice and clicky. You can definitely feel it as it clicks on and off. This is something different. We have an on and off button. We can turn off the mod just by pushing that over like that. It's off. That's like a kill switch. Turn it back on, it boots back up. Obviously we have our control screen and our up and down buttons. Here we have a USB port for charging. I don't see anything in here anywhere that talks about doing an upgrade on this. On the top of the mod is our 510. Again, a real interesting pattern in and around here. In the center of it is a spring-mounted 510 piece that is our 510 pin that is spring-loaded, and it will accommodate up to a 25 millimeter addy perfectly flush. So any of your more standard addies are going to look really, really nice on here. On the bottom of the mod, got a couple venting areas, and we've got the battery door. This battery door just snaps into place, but it holds real nice. It does not come open. Open that up and you can see our two 21700s in there, and here you can see the minus and the plus markings for polarity. And like I say, push it closed, snap it in, it's there. It isn't going anywhere. Pretty neat aesthetic. The mod I'll show you in a little bit, it's a little on the large side as compared to some other mods, but it does use 21700 batteries, and it does get one heck of a good battery life. It's kind of heavy. I don't have, I'll give you that figure when we talk about it. I don't have it right in front of me, but it does have some weight to it. But I don't know, I just find it a fascinating thing. I can sit here and just look at it as well as use it. Alright, the menu system. As I mentioned before, You can either turn the mod on and off by clicking 5 times, or by using the power button, which I believe I already showed you. To get into the menu itself, click 3 times. And right now we've got the ohms highlighted, resistance. You can click into that and you can change your resistance up to 0.05 ohms in either direction. This is just for fine tuning, and we'll talk about that a little bit later as well. 3 times again. We go into the battery, click on that, and you can see the mod information. Go into the memory mode. You have memory and memory 1 and memory 2 and memory 3. Click on any of these and it'll ask you whether you want to save it. So if you've set it to something new, you can just enter now and it'll save that setting. Or if you have a setting in there that you've saved previously, you can hit that and use it. Here we have the different modes. Wattage mode. And here you can change the wattage, 0.5 increments. Here we have the 3 temperature control modes: titanium, nickel, and stainless steel. Go into stainless steel. Notice the the resistance just locked itself. I had saved that and it remembered that and it locked it as soon as I went in. As you can see on the screen, we have 60 watts available. And again, in 0.5 increments, we can adjust the temperature. And there's also a TCR mode in the bottom. We can go into that and we can set our actual TCR. It's kind of nice. The manual has TCR ranges that they give you for each one of the coil materials, which is kind of a nice help. Here we have the preheat. You have normal, soft, hard in temperature control. If I go into power mode, it will add user. Go into there and I can go through and I can change each one of these line items, and each one is a second. There are 10 of them. I change the power on each one of them. The max power you can get on each one of the lines is the power that you have set on the mod itself. So you go through all of these, set each one obviously. Now go down here, and this is kind of neat as well. You can test it. Okay, you can reset it to where it was, or you can say OK and you can use it. I'm going to go ahead and reset it. And then hit OK. So there we are back into power mode. Another thing that we can do with this mod at any time is we can go into the little lock there and we can lock and or unlock that resistance, which is kind of different. Most of them, most mods only allow you to lock or unlock in temperature control, but this one will allow you to do that in any mode you want to. There are 2 hot button combinations. The fire key and the plus will give you all the different LED configurations. This thing has LEDs on the front of it, and this will change how they glow, or you can turn them off. And you can press the minus and fire at the same time, and it'll lock the power to where you can't change the power, but you can still vape. Starting with how the resistance is read by the mod, we have an actual resistance of 0.18 ohms and the mod is reading 0.14. We move up to 0.27 and it's dead on. We move up to 0.53 and the mod is reading 0.51. And then, of course, last we move it up to 1.03 ohms and the mod is reading 0.98. Definitely all within tolerance. On the oscilloscope, the first test, variable wattage mode, we've had the mod set wide open at 220 watts. Resistance is 0.14 ohms. It achieved a voltage of 5.24 volts and 196 watts. Pretty doggone close to that 220 watts that it claims. This tells me that possibly at a lesser resistance, it could achieve the full 220. The rise time was 18 milliseconds. Real nice rise time, real nice flat DC signal. We're looking good here. Same resistance with a setting that's a little closer to what one would expect, 100 watts. Obviously the 0.14 ohms. It achieved 3.72 volts, and that is 99 watts. That's real close for darn sure. Rise time, it was basically 0 milliseconds. It just shot straight up there. Again, real nice flat DC signal, and I like it. Moving the resistance up a bit to 0.27 ohms, again at the full power, 220 watts. The mod achieved 6.4 volts and 152 watts. Again, a rise time basically of 0. Real respectable chart here. Same resistance of 0.27 ohms. We put the setting at 75 watts, something one might expect at that resistance. The mod achieved 4.44 volts and 73 watts, very close to that 75. Again, it just jumped right up there. Pushing the resistance up a little bit more, 0.51 ohms. Set at max power, 220 watts. Achieved 7.2 volts, very close to the 7.5 volts the mod claims to be able to achieve, and the power to achieve was 102 watts. Plenty of power in my books for 0.51 ohms. Rise time, slowing down a little bit here. We got 40 milliseconds. Leaving the resistance at 0.51 ohms, setting the wattage to 50 watts, it achieved 4.84 volts and 46 watts. Looking pretty good here as well. Rise time is 6 milliseconds. Very respectable. Last resistance to test, 0.98 ohms, mod set wide open, 220 watts, 7.56 volts achieved with 58 watts, and a rise time of 0 milliseconds. This thing is just doing good all the way across the board. 0.98 ohms, down to 20 watts, what you'd expect, 4.64 volts, 22 watts, and again, jumped right up there, 0 milliseconds. Here's a soft preheat, and you can see that it starts out just a little bit softer, puts out a little bit less voltage, and then kind of slowly works its way up until you get to the wattage that you've set. Real nice smooth transition. Here's the hard preheat, and again, just the opposite of the soft. It just kind of smoothly works its way down, starts out a little bit higher, and works its way on down, giving you a little bit of a boost in the beginning of your vape. And finally, the user preheat, and I purposely just kind of jogged it up and down to see how it would do, and it's doing a fine job. It's doing exactly what it's supposed to do. 1 second per setting, and it basically jumps up and down to those different temperatures all the way through that 10-second vape. And on the last test, temperature control. This is a viable mod for the use with temperature control. 60 watts was applied, and resistance was 0.42 ohms. The maximum voltage it achieved was 5.64 volts, and it actually went up to 75 watts, a little more than I had it set for. Rise time was about 100 milliseconds, not terrible. Set temperature was 450 degrees, and it achieved 460 degrees, just a tad hot with this one. And the temperature actually dropped very nice as the cotton dried. In the slide you're looking at, you can see that it reacted very smoothly, gave a real nice even temperature control vape, and that's exactly what I'm feeling when I vape it. Okay, finally down to the talk about it. This is going to be pretty short, to be honest with you. There's the aesthetic, and that's a personal choice. I really like it. Some people might not like a mod quite this large or quite this heavy. It's like 458 grams as it's sitting, with the batteries in it and a little bit of juice and an addy on there. It's a little weighty. There's no doubt about that. That's all personal choice. The size of it, very, very close to the Paranormal. I think most folks are probably fairly familiar with that. Beyond that, probably the only thing to say about this mod is that it does what it says it's going to do. And in my books, that's the earmark of a quality mod. So I guess with that, I'm going to say catch you on the next one. Hope you enjoyed it. See you soon.